Hey everyone, welcome back to Motor Travel. My name is Steph Meyer and I like to talk about everything related to motorbike, travel and adventure. Today I get myself on a really slippery slope because I want to talk about tyres. Everyone has an opinion about it and it doesn't matter what you do. You will never win an argument. To get a clear answer about this whole tyre issue, well, it is really tricky. Everyone knows best and everyone is so passionate about it. So who can you ask? If you go on an online forum, well, I think you will get absolutely hammered with opinion. If you put something out there, there are half a dozen people who talk you straight down, half a dozen people know better, couple of them will swear at you. Whatever you put out there is wrong in the first place because everyone knows better. They're all specialists. So my friend, I think you have to have a different approach. The two options who are left for you is A, the manufacturer, and B, you have to figure it out yourself. Let's start with the manufacturer. When you buy your motorbike, or even if you buy it second hand, you can check up what tyre is recommended by the manufacturer, and that's a good bet to start with. If you ride around on that one, you know you get pretty much the most out of the motorbike. Of course, you get the twitch and you want to be tweaking your bike and you want to be a bit special about it. But hang on for a while, because in order to familiarize yourself with the bike, I advise stay with the tyre you got from the manufacturer. So after riding around on your motorbike, you still have that urge to upgrade your tyres. So what are the best tyres for your motorbike? I think you have to ask yourself, what are the best tyres for you? So there's a few questions you really have to answer yourself. Why do you feel the need to upgrade the tyres? Don't you have a good riding experience? Is anything wrong or feels wrong with the motorbike when you ride it? I think the first point of contact should be your dealer with the original tyre. Because if you change your tyres, it's very difficult to have a sensible argument because they always say, well, your motorbike was not set up for that brand of tyre. So until you sorted all that out, stick with what you got. Well, you end up really in a bit of a pickle here because, to make a valid argument, you really have to know the shortcomings. Let me tell you one thing. 2 years ago, I went to Norway and Sweden on my motorbike. And I had my Tyres tyres on it. What are pretty much the tyres you get your BMW with it. And in my case, I really speak only about my experience with the GS. So I was basically bumming around in Norway and in Sweden and had a really great time. And I did gravel roads and absolutely everything on these Tyres tyres, what are more or less a street tyre. And I had no problems. Then I seen a whole bunch of police motorbikes from the Norway police, or was it Sweden? I can't even remember. To my surprise, they had the box standard wheels, the cast aluminum wheels, and the standard tyres on it. So I was really surprised because I thought, hold on a second, when you look at that terrain, they need something special. No, they didn't. After speaking with a policeman, he was absolutely made up with his setup. He said he never came across anywhere where he couldn't go with his bike. So, for me, that was a pretty good argument that I wasn't wrong with the tyres I have currently on my motorbike. Okay, you're still not chuffed with it? Let's make a 75-25 assessment. So what is the 75-25 assessment? Well, that's something I came up with in order to get a bit of a benchmark what I can do or how I assess tyres or other gear. 75% means I'm an average rider, and I will use that particular tyre in this case at about 75% of its ability, and I still feel comfortable using it. So I don't push it to the limit because the way I ride and my capabilities don't even go that far. Now, I'm not talking myself down here. It's just one of these things. You have to be realistic if you make an assessment. With that in mind, you really have to ask yourself the question of what is wrong with this particular tyre I have on my motorbike. You have to make your notes and then you have to do an assessment. I would say 9 times out of 10 you come to one conclusion. And the conclusion is that the standard tyre who came with the motorbike look horrible. They are boring. They look like anorexic. There's just no bump behind them. They don't suit your style. We want the meanest looking bike. That's okay. With that out of the way, let's talk about the options we have. So we finally admitted we are posers after all when it comes to our motorbikes. Let's move on about the options we have. Right, so we have only our 3 options. The standard road tyre, a 50-50 tyre and anything in between, or the off-road tyre, full on. Well, number 1, the street tyre, that was something we didn't agree with because it hasn't got the looks. And then we have the other extreme, if we go for the full off-road tyre, well, it's not suitable for these bikes, let's just be honest. They are not made for it, they're way too heavy. You ruin these tyres in no time. So all we have left is now this middle ground from, I don't know, 50-50 up and down a little bit. I think that's a reasonable assumption. So before we dismiss the standard road tyre as an option, I think we should dig a little bit deeper in the whole purpose of the tyre in the first place. Besides keeping us on the road, the most important thing a tyre delivers to us is grip. Grip is the bit, what we call about if the pressure of the motorbikes grabs to the road, it transfers the power to maximum extent from the wheel to the road to give you a forward motion. So here's the thing, if we want to have maximum connection between the tyre and the ground, well, the optimum is a slick tyre. We all know that racing cars, racing motorbikes, they all pretty much have slick tyres because maximum rubber connects to the road. Because we only have a limited amount of surface who basically connects the bike to the ground. Now I have no idea if that is the right amount. It could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less, but I just gave it a bit try, looked at my bike, how much is on the ground, and that's what I came up with. Got my camera here, let's check out my Touring's road tyre, the standard tyre who came with that motorbike. Got my GoPro here, let's check this out. When you look at that tyre, you see the grooves are much more narrow together and they're way more shallower. So you have much more rubber on the surface here connecting to the road. What gives you more grip? No doubt. On the other hand is if you have more rubber and it transfers all the energy from the bike to the road, obviously you get way more miles out of something like that than if you would have big gaps in there. Now if we look at the transfer space we have here, that looks pretty much consistent throughout the whole wheel movement. There's always plenty of rubber on the ground. So, when it comes to grip, that tyre is definitely a winner. Now let's have a look at the Midas, what is it? 1 second. Oh yeah, it's the Midas O7 Plus. It's a really, really good tyre, 50-50, great value, very popular with the riders. So let's just have a look at that. Again, let's use the GoPro here. When you look at the pattern, there is, of course, big gaps, deep tread, sharp corners to give you the bite you need when you go off-roading. But when you look, I don't have to tell you that grip definitely suffers on that tyre. So it doesn't matter what argument you come up with. Better compound, better design, whatever. The road tyre wins hands down when it comes to grip. Now the other thing you have to consider is all these knobbies with a big bike like that, they get really warm and they wear out pretty quick. So that's the other price to pay. Mileage on these tyres is about 2/3 of what you have on one of these touring tyres. So let's just have another look at this tyre in more detail. When it was designed, you have here in the middle more rubber than on the outside, because obviously they want to give you the mileage out of this tyre. So the gaps here are not quite as big as on a real off-road tyre where you have the knobbies far more spaced apart. But that by side, it is still very, very deep grooves. Now as I said, I used this tyre for I think I had about 3 months on the motorbike and did a fair amount of miles, but I already feel the edges here rounding off. Now all it needs for this tyre to be completely useless is cake it up with mud, and then you spin the tyre. The tyre gets a little bit grip on stones and it will round off all these edges. From that moment on, this tyre is absolutely useless. So contrary to what you maybe believe, this is not a proper motocross adventure tyre. This is more a tyre for slightly softer ground and maybe slightly wet environment, but it's no good for mud. Because, I mean, let's face it, this bike is not good for mud anyway. You always find people who go through the next big puddle, but they're not made for it. So my final thoughts on this whole 50-50 thing. Well, 50-50 tyres have their purpose. If you're a person who rides on the road, goes a lot on gravel roads, goes through the forests and does a little bit of adventure rider in a way of drier landscape, not so much mud, they are great tyres. The downside is they're really noisy. When I first put these tyres on, boy, are they loud. I mean, it sounds like a Stuka dive bomber comes after you, and that goes on for a couple of 100 miles. And to the day, after 2,000 or 3,000 miles, I don't know how many miles I got on that one, they're still loud. The feedback you get from the tyre as well is nothing compared to the standard tour tyre. They are way more temperamental. In rain, well, be honest, I ride careful in rain anyway, because, you know, you never know where you end up with and what's around the corner, so I can't really complain about them. They never slipped away, I never lost control with the tyre, so in this case I'm quite happy with it. But still, when it comes to the feedback, the old tyre is still far superior than this one. When it comes to confidence in these tyres, well, it will take a while until you really get the hang of them. If you have your off-the-mill standard touring tyre, you are super comfortable with it. You know, you throw your bike in the corners and you know it sticks. With these tyres, it takes some getting used to. And be fair, I'm still to the day way more cautious than on the standard tyres. When it comes to situation off the tarmac, well, of course, the 50-50 tyre is better. Would I say way better? Yeah. You know, it's just one of these things, you know, on a forest road you open up the bike and you feel there is more grip. On gravel, if you move along, you know, on a stony road, again, you feel more confident with that tyre. Maybe it's just like a psychological thing. So let's button this whole thing up about tyres. The bottom line is, you have to get the experience yourself. Nobody can help you along with that. Because whatever I feel is right for me has nothing to do with your applications or how you feel about it. Someone says these tyres are great, the next guy says they are absolutely rubbish. It's just personal style and personal opinion. Don't get caught up in this whole argument. In the end of the day, the main job of the tyre is to keep you safe on the road. That is it. So all that hooing and hawing about compounds and everything, most of the people ride at a level where it makes absolutely no difference. You may be paying over the odds for something you really don't need. And just remember one thing, when you sit on your bike and you're riding through an amazing landscape, you couldn't care less how your bike looks. So let me know how you think about this whole argument about tyres. Put it in the comment section below. I really would be interested in how you feel about it. Be honest about it. If you don't like the video, well, give it a thumbs up. I don't mind. In the end of the day, we all have our opinions, and I do respect everyone's opinion anyway. So on that note, guys, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It would be absolutely marvelous. And until next time, whatever you do, guys, ride safe. Bye.